This video will show you how to replace the rear brakes, pads, and rotors on a Pontiac Grand Prix. This will be located behind your rear wheel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. The first thing we have to do is safely raise and support the rear of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. Once you've done that, we're going to remove all 5 of our 19mm lug nuts and remove the wheel. Now that we have the wheel off, we have a clear view of our rear brakes. Let's start removing our caliper. As far as dislodging the caliper, we're looking along the back side of the caliper. You're going to find that you have 2 slider pins and a slider pin bolt. We have one down here and one up top. We're using a 12mm for the slider pin bolt. During the removal process, you might find that the slider pin spins. You'd want to prevent that. You can either use a 19mm wrench or you can use some pliers, whatever is easiest for you. Let's see if this one comes free. Okay, I can see that pin spinning. We'll have to make sure we hold on to that. There's our bolt. For the first bolt, I like to fully remove it. Just give it a quick inspection, start it back in a couple threads. We're going up to the next mounting bolt up along the top. The lower bolt is going to prevent this from falling as we continue on. While holding onto the caliper, preventing it from falling, go ahead and remove that bolt we had already removed. And now we'll slide the caliper out of place. Let's set that aside. Next, we'll remove the brake pads. Typically, you can take them by hand and slide them out of place. If it feels as though they're stuck in the bracket, like this one is here, we're going to have to carefully tap that out of position. With the brake pads out of the way, we can start removing our caliper bracket. We're looking along the inboard side. Now out here, you can see that we have 2 13mm headed mounting bolts. We'll remove the first mounting bolt fully, a quick inspection, start it back in a couple threads. Now I'm making my way down to the next mounting bolt. We'll hold on to the bracket while we remove that mounting bolt we had started back in. Remove the bracket. For now, we're going to set this aside. The next thing you would want to do would be to remove your brake rotor. Now this one's rusted in place, so I'm going to have to tap on it with a hammer. Of course, I want to make sure it doesn't fall off and potentially hurt me. I'm just starting on one of my original lug nuts, just a couple threads here. Now the rotor can't fall off. Let's continue on with the hammer. To remove this, be extremely careful not to cause any damage to any of your lug studs. Slide off that brake rotor. There it is, friend. The next thing we need to do is clean our wheel bearing hub flange. That's this area here. This is where the brand new rotor is going to sit against. We need to remove any raised areas so we don't have a brake pulsation. For this, I'm just using a small sanding disc and a wire brush. We're using the wire brush in between our lug studs and the hub. Let's rinse this down with some parts cleaner. After a thorough cleaning and an inspection, let's continue on with some anti-seize on the mating surface. Just a thin coating should do all the way around. Nice. Now let's have a look at our brand new brake rotor. Prior to installing this, we want to make sure we clean both of our braking surfaces. We have the outboard side and the inboard side. I'm going to use some parts cleaner and a clean rag. Install the brake rotor. Now I like to make sure that the rotor does not move around while I continue on, so I'm using a small spacer and one of my original lug nuts. Now it's time to focus on our caliper bracket. We're going to be cleaning and lubricating this. Now of course you do want to have some sort of collection receptacle, so I'm just using part of the cardboard box from my brake rotor. Continuing on, we're going to remove everything from the bracket and clean. Along each side of the caliper bracket, you're going to find you have caliper bracket tins. Your kit came with brand new ones. Go ahead and take those off, a quick inspection, set them aside for recycling. After you have removed those, you have to remove the slider pins and their corresponding slider boots. Take hold of the slider pin, you're giving it a twist and pulling it away from the boot. Once you have that out of place, of course we're going to clean it down and give it a close inspection. During our inspection, we want to make sure the smooth surface does not have any rust or buildup on it. Also pay attention in this groove. That looks good. We'll remove the boot next. As for the boot, typically you can take hold of it, flex it, and slide it out and away from the caliper bracket. Now we need to clean this as well. To clean the caliper slider boot, continue on with a clean rag. Give it a twist and slide it through the boot itself. On the opposite side, I'll just start pulling it through. And now I'm going to roll the boot around on the rag. I'm attempting to work it around so I'm removing any grease or debris from on the inside of the boot. Once you feel as though you've cleaned it well enough, a thorough inspection. Make sure it's soft and pliable, not torn, worn, or damaged in any way. Otherwise, you want to replace it. This looks good, so I'm going to do the same exact thing on the opposite side of the caliper bracket. Now, as I remove this slider pin, there's something that I want you to see. Looking at this slider pin, in comparison to the other one, you can see that this one does have a vibration dampener. It's important to make sure that that vibration dampener is not damaged or swollen in any way. Of course, we're inspecting the rest of the slider pin as well, just as we did the other. This one does look good. During the installation process, the slider pin with the vibration dampener needs to be on the same side of the caliper bracket as where you had removed it from, so pay close attention to that. Of course, we'll remove the boot, clean, and inspect. That boot looks good. With everything removed from the bracket, let's continue our cleaning process. I'm focusing on the areas where my bracket tins were first. I'm just using my small sanding disc. You can also use a wire brush. This side looks good. I'll repeat the process on the other side of the bracket. Nice. Now it's time to clean inside of each one of our 2 caliper slider pin ports. These lead into the bracket. We're going to be using some parts cleaner and a bore brush, removing as much miscellaneous debris from inside of this as possible. Just a quick rinse on that. A thorough inspection inside of the port and along the ridge here, we can see that small groove. That's where the boot would sit. This looks good, so I'm going to repeat the process on the other side of the bracket. With the bracket fully cleaned, let's continue on with some high temperature caliper lubricant. We're going to lubricate along the areas where the caliper bracket tins would sit. This is going to help with vibration dampening and noise reduction. In your kit, you're going to find it came with 4 of these tins. All of them look the same. We need 2 for each side of the vehicle. Let's line this up, press it on, and of course make sure it's secure. Same thing for the other side of the bracket. That's secured as well. Continuing with our high temperature lubricant, let's lubricate along the groove on our caliper bracket where the boot would sit. Install the slider boot. Line it up, press it on. Give it a little twist. We want to work in that lubricant. It should not fall out of place. With that lubricant, we're also lubricating our slider pins. During the removal process, you had seen that one of these slider pins does have a vibration dampener that will go in the same original port as where we had removed it from. I'm pressing it in. I'm squeezing out any air from inside of the boot. When I do release this, it should not protrude out. This is the way that it needs to be. There's our vibration dampener on that slider pin. It's going back into the same port. Squeeze out any air. Work in the lubricant. Let's get over to the vehicle. Over at the vehicle, let's have a close look at our caliper. As far as the caliper is concerned, we have to look at the piston itself. Looking at the piston, you can tell that there's 2 notches. Those notches are areas that we can grab onto. We're going to have to twist and push the piston in at the same time. This could be done using some long nose pliers if necessary, or you could use the specialty tool. Now I'm just going to use this tool, but the process would be the same. As I mentioned, we're aligning it with those corresponding ports. We're going to be turning this clockwise and pressing it inward. Now, when we go to press this in, once it feels as though it's in as far as it can go, we need to pay attention to these 2 notches. We want to make sure that the notch is facing towards the port on the caliper, right where my finger is here. As you can tell, I do have to continue twisting this clockwise. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want it to be fairly close. And that looks good. We're using our high temperature caliper lubricant along the caliper piston. We're also using it along the backside of each of these two ears, essentially just on the areas that touch up against our brake pads. Let's get our caliper bracket in place. This is going to slide over our brake rotor. We're aligning the areas for our caliper bracket bolts. Start in the two caliper bracket bolts. Once you have them both started in, snug them up. The torque for those will be 89 foot-pounds. Now I've got my torque wrench. Double check, make sure your bracket's secured in place. It should not move around in any way. So now we're looking for our brake pads. In your brake pad kit, you're going to find it came with two pads that did not have a wear indicator. You need one for each side of the vehicle, and that would be the outboard pad. In your kit, you're also going to find that you had two pads with wear indicators. You're going to find one pad will have a wear indicator on one side, the other pad will have it on the opposite side. This is going to be the inboard pad, and we need to make sure the wear indicator is down along the bottom area. Let's go ahead and get this in place. Line it up, press it in, it should roll into place. Once you feel as though you have it in the proper position, make sure it can move. If you had to hammer it in and it does not move, you did not clean your caliper bracket well enough, and that's going to cause a braking issue. Let's continue on to the outboard pad next. It's time to install the caliper. We're looking at the inside brake pad. We can see that we have one locating tab that will have to slide into the slots on the brake caliper piston. That's why we had to make sure it was properly aligned. Let's get the caliper in place. We'll start in each of our two caliper slider pin bolts. As for my two bolts, I cleaned up the threads and I applied some blue thread locker. The torque for these is only 25 foot-pounds. Now, as you remember during the removal process, it is possible for the slider pins to spin on you. If that's the case, just use your 19mm, just as you did before, to help prevent those from spinning as you snug and torque. Okay, that one's good. Wrench on there. The next thing we need to do is pay attention to our flex hose. During the installation of the caliper, it's possible to have twisted the flex hose. We want to make sure it's not twisted in a way that's going to restrict brake fluid flow, which could cause a braking issue. This is how it should look. Now we're going to remove our lug nut and our spacer. One last quick inspection in this area and we can reinstall our wheel. Once you have your wheel in place, start on all 5 of your 19mm lug nuts. We'll bottom them out. Get the wheel back on the ground and torque all of them to 100 foot-pounds. Now that I have the wheel back on the ground, I'm going to be torquing each one of my lug nuts to that 100 foot-pounds in a crisscross manner. Torqued. Okay, friend, we showed you how to replace the brakes on one side of the vehicle. The process for one side is the exact same thing as the other. Once you've completed both side brakes, you need to make your way inside the passenger compartment, pump up the brake pedal until it feels firm, and then take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.